In this video, I want to share how I live in an ultra luxe, ultra modern apartment, wear a Rolex, a fancy watch, and drive supercars at absolutely no cost. And more importantly, how you can too. So what's going on, everybody? In this video, I do want to share all of my strategies and secrets and the big key piece or paradigm shift that you need in order to be able to experience a more extravagant life, or the life that you've desired to have sooner than you think. You can look online and see this perceived success of a lot of different influencers and people having the life that you have at a very young age. You can see me sitting here at 23 experiencing this very cool floor-to-ceiling glass window skyscraper high-rise luxury building in San Diego. See, how the heck does he do that? And share with you how I've been able to wear fancy watches, drive supercars, and live in fancy places all for free at no net cost, and how you can too. Now, I want to start off, if you don't know my background, if you don't know who I am, with telling you about me super quick. So I'm no different than you inherently. I grew up from very moderate means in a super small farming town in the Midwest. So this isn't a whole bunch of mommy and daddy's money paying for my lifestyle that I live right now. This is me spending years to learn tactics and strategies to be able to experience the things that I've wanted to in a strategic way, to where I'm able to afford them without coming from this crazy affluent family and generational wealth. More importantly, share those strategies with you so that you can try them out if you want to experience these things, the finer things in life, and also get a taste if they're even for you or not. See, social media really glamorizes the floor-to-ceiling glass windows and the supercars and the nice watches, but you can see I don't have a nice watch on right now because it's not something I particularly value. I had the experience, I've worn the watch, and maybe I will again in the future, but for the time being, it was cool to have, but it's not really where I want to allocate the time and the energy that I'll go into right now. Now, I do have to make a quick distinction between the cars and watches and the housing situation. So let's jump into the housing situation first, and I'll take you on a quick tour around this crib. This is one that I'm actually spending on at the moment, but I have lived in a very cool, very similar spot in Boulder, Colorado a couple of years ago at no cost, and I'm currently living in my house in Indiana at a greatly reduced price as well. And so I want to share with you the strategy that I employed and am currently employing to do just that. And that is this notion of house hacking or rent hacking, depending on your specific circumstance. Let's take my Indiana house for example. I paid $200 grand for the house. It equates to $1,000 mortgage a month. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom with 2 acres, 2-car garage, and a big barn/workshop area. So I have $1,000 a month that I'm paying to live there, but what if I got someone to offset that cost, to share a room in the house for, let's say, $500? I live there in this big 4-bed, 2-bath as a single bachelor male. I don't need all of the space that I have. So I get a roommate that pays $500 a month. We split the house, and now my housing cost is essentially halved as well. I'm living in a very nice home for, let's say, $500 a month. Now let's take that 1 degree further. I get 2 roommates, 2 housemates, because again, it's a 4-bed, 2-bath home. So I get my own bedroom, I get my own bathroom, and I have 2 roommates that share the 1 bathroom, that each have their own bedroom. They're each paying $500 a month, and bam, my entire mortgage is covered. Now in my instance, I could rent out the barn, the workshop area. I could even rent out a 3rd bedroom, and let's say that the rents weren't even that high, that instead of being able to charge $500 a month for rent, I could only charge $350. Well, again, it's a 4-bed, 2-bath, so I get my own room, and I get 3 roommates that all chip in $350, which is crazy, super cheap, and bam, the entire mortgage is paid for. I'm living for free simply by having the mortgage in my name. That's example one. If you have the capacity to own your home, that could be a really smart play. Number two, and this is the strategy that I used when I was living in Colorado, it was rent hacking. So I had found this apartment. It was a 2-bed, 1-bath, and right in the heart of Boulder, 17th and Pearl, and right by the school down there. Let's go Buffs, baby, let's go. Anyway, I found this spot. I'd always wanted to live in Boulder, but it's really pricey, especially coming from the Midwest, where I was from, and earning the income that I had at the time. I didn't have a ton of money. I couldn't live in this crazy place alone, spending thousands of dollars a month on rent. The place rented out for $2,000 a month, which for me was just mind-blowing. Couldn't fathom it, couldn't justify it for myself to live. So I found this place right by the university that someone had signed a 12-month lease on for $2,000 a month. So they had gone to a semester of uni. They realized that for some reason it wasn't for them. I forget the specifics surrounding the situation, whether they dropped out, flunked out, or they had a certain thing that they had to go home for, where they could no longer stay in the area, fulfill the lease term, and go to school there. So they found someone, they needed someone to sublease that apartment. I raised my hand, that person was me, because they were offering the lease at a greatly reduced rate. Instead of the original $2,000 a month that they signed on for, they said $1,200, rent this thing out. It's below market, I just need it moved, because they're on the hook for the full $2,000 a month, regardless of if they're living there or not. So they wanted someone, as soon as they could get someone signed, to start paying off and offsetting that rent. So I hopped in at $1,200 a month, the other $800 being offset, and I lived there for a couple months. I reassigned the lease later on to someone who paid $1,600 a month for the rent, which is still a reduced price. It's $400 off the market rent for that area. So I was able to live there for $1,200 a month for 3 months, and then I had positive cash flow of the difference between $1,600 and $1,200 for the remainder of the lease term that I essentially in my head had applied towards my cost of living for those few months that I was there, rendering my rent basically free over the course of that time period, and making it drastically lower than the alternative, what I would have been paying at $2,000 a month. That ended up coming out to just a few hundred a month in my shoes and my circumstance. Now, the other way that you could have taken this is the place with a base rent of $2,000 a month. I got in, signed the sublease for $1,200 a month. Now I could have rented out the other room because it was a 2-bed, 1-bath. I could have rented out the other room at market rate, which was $1,000 a month, because you're taking a building that is $2,000 a month, that's 2-bed, you're splitting it in half. So I could have assumed the entire lease for myself for $1,200, gotten a roommate or a housemate to offset $1,000 there, and bam, my cost of living, instead of being $2,000, is now $200. I'm paying a tenth of what it would have cost to live in this incredible spot at the center of downtown Boulder. I'll give you one more suggestion, and it depends on if you own the place, rent the place, depending on how conducive the area is for Airbnb and stuff like that. But you could get a spot just like this that my housemate that is renting this, it's like a $6,500 or $7,000 spot. They elected to take the smaller room in this place. They gave me the master, or whoever is staying in here temporarily the master, which I'm just stoked on. Gorgeous views, super spacious, attached bathroom and walk-in closet. Awesome, awesome, awesome space. Anyway, they had subleased this incredible room, this incredible apartment, from the individual that was paying a very high amount. And instead of paying that $6,500 or $7,000, they had gotten it for $4,300 a month, which is awesome. Good on them. And they could rent that to me at market rent for $3,000 a month, the same exact thing. So instead of their cost of living for this ultra luxe, ultra modern, super safe spot being $6,500 to $7,000 a month, they're now in it for like $1,000. Interesting. Now think about this. What if a nightly rate could be more expensive? How much would this place Airbnb out for if you did like a nightly rental? Assuming that you would be able to do that, you could offset your entire cost of living. I know a lot of folks who do this in places like Miami and Minneapolis, where the cost to buy and rent these places is so much less, but there's still a lot of traffic or people flying into MSP for work and conferences or passing through, or Miami for a weekend to go to Ultra or the beach or whatever else it may be. People can take advantage of the discrepancy there between the nightly rate, the hotel cost, and what they could offer their space for, and greatly reduce their cost of living, make it free, or make it even profitable. And I just gave you these ideas, these 3 ways of the mortgage hack, the rent hack, or like the Airbnb way of doing this, but get crafty, think about that. That's how it pertains to the home. Now, as it pertains to the watches and the cars, the strategy is a little bit different, but the concept is the same. Now, a lot of people see a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, a Nissan GTR, or any of these really expensive vehicles and think, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. You have to have a ton of money to be able to buy this, drive this, etc., enjoy this thing. Same with a watch. Oh my gosh, I could never spend $2, $5, $10, $50,000 on a watch. What are these crazy rich D-bags doing? How can they do this? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. It's cheaper in some instances to own this Rolex than it is to go buy a watch from movement.com or from Macy's. Not to poo-poo on the folks that buy Movement watches or Macy's stuff, but I actually earned money through having the Rolex that I had. I made a whole video detailing exactly how I was able to do that. If you're interested in watching that, I'll have it linked down below. Anyway, you can see the thumbnail here. I made hundreds of dollars through this watch. Found a good deal on it online, paid for it, had it shipped to my house, wore it for a little while, and then sold it for more with better pictures and better marketing. So instead of spending a few $100 at Macy's or on Movement to have a nice faux gold watch, I had a real gold Rolex, 100% authentic, that I made hundreds of dollars on. Interesting, cool. Same thing with the cars. You've been following the channel for some time. You've seen all of the different vehicles that I've had. Cars, trucks, minivans, motorcycles, you name it, I've probably had it, shy of crazy super and hypercars. Now, I've been able to implement this strategy on a lot of things, and I actually teach individuals how to do that. That's linked down below. Automotive arbitrage, drive anything for free or even profitably. I go into all of the strategies. That's what I'm probably most known for and well versed in, how to do this specifically with cars. But the premise of this is the exact same. You find a vehicle that you can buy for a good deal, you enjoy it, put thousands of miles on it, and resell it with better marketing, better photos, or a competitive advantage of some sort to allow you to sell it for a break-even price relative to what you paid, or even profitably, such that a Range Rover could cost less than a base model Honda, or a Nissan GTR could cost less than a Toyota Corolla. I've been able to implement these strategies that I share in depth with the automotive stuff, or that I have linked down below to other resources on house hacking, rent hacking, watches, and whatnot. I'll give some shout outs at the end to enjoy this life that was formerly so aspirational and so far apart from me. I grew up in the Midwest where not a lot of people had a lot of money, and where a lot of people had not a lot of money whatsoever. And living in a space like this, spending time in a place like this, wearing a watch of that caliber, driving a car of that brand, of that elegance, of that price tag was just unfathomable. And using these strategies that I've gotten for free on YouTube and books from the public library, or paid a little bit of money to learn at an expedited rate, as was the case with the watches, Watch Trading Academy specifically, shout out PJ, I was able to own my dream watch, this all gold Rolex. So hopefully this video has been able to shed some light on how you can live an increased lifestyle for not much of an increased cost, if any at all. How you may be able to do so cheaper than maybe how you're living right now. All it takes are strategies and getting crafty with the ways in which you live, getting a little less content for settling with the norm and instead pushing to learn these things, to deploy these strategies, to be able to experience the things that you've always wanted to. And I wanted to make this video to come on and share my story, not to flex, not to brag, not to say, oh, I've had this Rolex and the supercar and the cool place to live, but to share myself as someone who was formerly in a similar position that you may be watching this video. I'm sharing this for 5 and 10 year ago me that's stuck in the Midwest, that doesn't have a lot of money, that doesn't have this insight, but has these big goals and big aspirations and wants to learn how to make that happen. So these are not affiliate codes, these are not affiliate links, these aren't anything paid. I'm just gonna link a few really high quality YouTube videos and channels down below. Of course, my program with Automotive Money that teaches you how to do it specifically with cars, that is paid, that is me, if you want to learn directly from me as it pertains to vehicles. But free YouTube videos, free channels on house hacking, rent hacking, the whole watch game and stuff like that. I want to share the resources with you so that you can go more in depth. I shared the broad scope, I got you inspired, and hopefully gave you this idea, planted the seed in your head of how to do this. But as far as tactics and the tangible steps that you need to take, they should be linked down below. Anyway, if you like this video, found it inspirational, insightful, valuable, drop a like, drop a comment down below telling me what you thought, and be sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with future videos like this. With that in mind, I will see you on the next one. Peace.